Hey guys, it's narrator's name here. You clicked on this video because you heard the whispers about a movie so disturbing, it's practically an urban legend. We're diving into the Human Centipede. This isn't just another horror flick, it's a psychological experiment designed to crawl under your skin. Director Tom Six wanted to push boundaries, and you know what? He succeeded. But here's the thing. Beneath the surface of all that stomach-churning grotesqueness lies something far more sinister. This isn't just about the gore, the blood, the sheer wrongness of it all. The Human Centipede is a masterclass in psychological horror, a film that burrows into the darkest recesses of your mind and forces you to confront your deepest fears. We're talking about the fear of losing control, of your body becoming a prison. We're talking about the primal terror of being violated, dehumanized, stripped of everything that makes you, you. And that's where the true horror of the Human Centipede lies. It's in the breakdown of the human psyche, the slow, agonizing descent into madness. So buckle up, folks. One of the most fundamental fears we have as humans is the fear of losing control over our own bodies. Think about it. Our physical form is the vessel through which we experience the world. It's our home, our sanctuary, the very essence of our being. And when that sanctuary is violated, when our flesh becomes a prison rather than a haven, that's when true horror takes hold. The Human Centipede takes this fear and cranks it up to 11. The victims in this twisted game are stripped of their bodily autonomy in the most visceral, degrading way imaginable. They are literally sewn together, their digestive systems linked in a grotesque chain that defies the laws of nature and sanity. Dr. Heiter, the film's antagonist, is a surgeon, but not the kind who brings healing and hope. No, he's a sculptor of flesh, a conductor of a macabre symphony of screams and suffering. His operating room is his stage, his scalpel his baton, and the human body his instrument. The surgical scenes in the Human Centipede are not for the squeamish. They are graphic, unflinching, and deliberately designed to make your skin crawl. What makes the body horror in the Human Centipede so effective is that it taps into our primal fear of the unknown. We see these surgical procedures, these grotesque transformations, and our minds can't help but race with questions. What would it feel like? What would it smell like? Could we survive such a thing? The film doesn't shy away from the physical realities of the situation. The victim's agony is palpable, their desperate struggle for survival a stark reminder of the fragility of the human body. We're forced to confront the limits of our own endurance, to imagine the unimaginable, and that's where the true psychological horror takes root. The horror of the Human Centipede goes beyond the physical. It delves into the darkest corners of the human psyche. Dr. Heiter embodies the archetype of the sadist. He's a puppet master, pulling the strings of his victims' lives. Their bodies are merely puppets in his twisted game. The film masterfully builds upon this sense of helplessness by subjecting the victims to a constant state of degradation and humiliation. Their forced connection, their shared digestive system becomes a source of shame and revulsion, a cruel mockery of their humanity. Every bite they take, every bodily function they perform, serves as a constant reminder of their powerlessness, their utter lack of control. This psychological torment is amplified by Dr. Heiter's constant observation. He watches their every move, their every expression of pain and despair, fueling his own twisted sense of satisfaction. He denies them even the privacy of their own suffering, turning their agony into a perverse performance for his own amusement. Dr. Heiter's sadism is deeply unsettling due to its coldness. He observes pain with detached curiosity, like a scientist studying reactions. This clinical cruelty strips away human empathy, leaving chilling calculation and control. Victims become mere objects, tools to be discarded at will. Monsters sometimes wear lab coats and masks. Imagine for a moment the terror of losing yourself, not in the vastness of space or the depths of the ocean, but within the confines of your own being. to be stripped of your name, your memories, your very essence, until all that remains is a hollow shell, a vessel devoid of the soul that once defined you. This is the fear of dehumanization, a fear that strikes at the very core of our existence. As the centipede crawls and writhes, a testament to Dr. Heiter's twisted genius, the victims are reduced to mere cogs in his macabre machine. Their bodily functions, once private and personal, become public spectacles, their every movement dictated by the whims of their captor and the grotesque constraints of their interconnected bodies. This loss of individuality is further emphasized by the film's stark visuals. The victims, stripped naked and shorn of their hair, become almost indistinguishable from one another, their bodies reduced to a collection of limbs and orifices, existing solely to serve the grotesque purpose for which they were assembled. What makes this dehumanization so profoundly unsettling is that it reflects a fear that resonates deeply within us all. The fear of becoming irrelevant, insignificant, lost in the vast machinery of society. We see ourselves in the victim's plight, in their desperate struggle to hold on to some shred of their former selves, and we're forced to confront the fragility of our own identities. The film suggests that our sense of self, our individuality, can be stripped away with terrifying ease, leaving us vulnerable to exploitation and manipulation. It's a chilling reminder of the dark potential that lies within us all, the capacity for cruelty and indifference that can transform fellow human beings into objects to be used and discarded. The Human Centipede holds up a twisted mirror to our own humanity, forcing us to confront the darkest aspects of our nature. It's a film that lingers long after the credits have rolled, its images seared into our minds, its questions echoing in the silence of our thoughts, and perhaps in that unsettling silence we catch a glimpse of our own reflection, a fleeting reminder of the fragility of our own humanity and the importance of safeguarding the things that make us human. The Human Centipede doesn't just assault our senses with its graphic imagery, it burrows deep into our psyches, exploring psychological torture. The mental and emotional torment elevates the film's horror. Imagine the slow, agonizing drip of madness as you're forced to confront your worst nightmares. The victims are subjected to constant psychological abuse. Every aspect of their being is laid bare and controlled. Section 2. A Symphony of Suffering. The film expertly utilizes sound to amplify this psychological torture. The constant whimpering, the desperate pleas for mercy, the sickening sounds of bodily fluids being exchanged, all combine to create a symphony of suffering that reverberates through the viewer's mind long after the film has ended. The silence, too, is weaponized, punctuated by Dr. Heiter's chillingly calm pronouncements and the victim's own ragged breathing, a constant reminder of their precarious existence. The absence of any non-diegetic sound, any music to soften the blow of the imagery, only serves to heighten the realism, to drag the viewer deeper into the abyss of the victim's despair. Section 3. Beyond the Flesh. What makes the psychological torture in the Human Centipede so effective is that it transcends the physical. It speaks to our deepest fears about vulnerability, about the fragility of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable cruelty. We watch as the victims cling to the remnants of their sanity, their hopes slowly extinguished by the relentless onslaught of horror. We see the light fade from their eyes, the spark of defiance replaced by a dull acceptance of their fate. And in that moment, we're forced to confront the terrifying possibility that the human mind, for all its resilience, can be broken. Section 4. Scars that linger. The true horror of psychological torture lies not just in the immediate suffering it inflicts, but in the invisible scars it leaves behind. Even if the victims of such cruelty were to escape their physical prison, the mental and emotional trauma would continue to haunt them, shaping their perceptions, their relationships, their very understanding of the world. The Human Centipede doesn't offer its viewers the comfort of a clean break, a cathartic release from the horrors it depicts. Instead, it leaves us with a lingering sense of unease, a profound understanding that some wounds run deeper than flesh and bone, leaving invisible scars on the soul. At the heart of the Human Centipede lurks a chilling exploration of scientific hubris, that dangerous cocktail of arrogance and ambition. Dr. Heiter embodies this perfectly. He's a self-proclaimed god, wielding his scalpel with detached precision. He sees himself above morality and ethics. His patients are mere specimens, raw materials for his twisted vision. He doesn't seek consent nor offer comfort or compassion. Their suffering is a price for his grotesque masterpiece. Dr. Heiter's house becomes a tangible manifestation of his hubris, a sterile, isolated environment where he can indulge his darkest fantasies without fear of judgment or consequence. The operating room, bathed in harsh clinical light, becomes his temple, a place where the lines between science and sadism blur into oblivion. Every detail, from the meticulously arranged instruments to the cold, metallic surfaces, speaks to his obsessive need for control, his desire to bend the world to his will. He has created a space where the laws of nature, the rules of society, no longer apply, a space where his word is law and his victims are mere pawns in his twisted game. What makes Dr. Heiter's brand of scientific hubris so terrifying is its plausibility. We live in a world where scientific advancements are happening at an unprecedented rate, where the boundaries of what's possible are constantly being pushed. And with each breakthrough, there's a risk, however small, that someone, somewhere, will be tempted to cross the line, to prioritize their own ambition over the sanctity of human life. The Human Centipede serves as a chilling reminder of the ethical dilemmas that can arise when scientific progress outpaces our moral compass. It forces us to confront the unsettling reality that knowledge, in the wrong hands, can be a dangerous weapon, and that even the most noble pursuits can be twisted into something monstrous. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect of Dr. Heiter's character is that he doesn't see himself as a monster. He genuinely believes that he is acting in the name of progress, that his grotesque experiments are justified by some higher purpose. And it's this delusion, this utter lack of self-awareness that makes him truly terrifying. He reminds us that the greatest monsters are often those who believe they are acting for the greater good, who are blind to the suffering they inflict in the pursuit of their goals. He's a chilling reminder that the capacity for evil exists within us all, lurking beneath the surface of our civilized facades, waiting for the right moment to emerge. As the credits roll on the Human Centipede, we're left grappling with the unsettling implications of its endgame. Dr. Heiter, the architect of this grotesque experiment, has achieved his twisted goal. He's created his masterpiece, a testament to his absolute control over the human form. But his triumph is a hollow one, built on the broken bodies and shattered psyches of his victims. His creation, far from being the pinnacle of scientific achievement he envisioned, is a grotesque mockery of life, a pulsating, whimpering testament to the depths of human cruelty. The victims, stripped of their dignity, their humanity, their very identities, are left to contemplate the bleak reality of their existence, a living nightmare from which there seems to be no escape. The Human Centipede isn't just a story about madness, it's a reflection of our own capacity for darkness and primal fears. The film forces us to confront the monsters within us. It asks how far we would go to survive and how much we would endure to cling to life. The Human Centipede pushes the boundaries of cinematic acceptability, courting controversy and disgust. Many find it repulsive and morally reprehensible, yet it delves into the taboo, confronting our capacity for darkness. It lingers long after the credits roll, its images seared into our minds. The true horror lies in exposing the darkness within us all. The Human Centipede is not a film for everyone. It's a challenging, disturbing, and deeply unsettling experience that will stay with you long after you've watched it. But for those willing to take the plunge, to confront their own darkness and the fragility of the human condition. It's a film that offers a profound, albeit deeply uncomfortable, meditation on the human capacity for both good and evil. It's a film that reminds us that the monsters we fear most may not be the ones we see on screen, but the ones we carry within ourselves, hidden in the darkest recesses of our heart.